Hey guys, welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. It is Friday, so we've made it through another week. Hallelujah. Um, since it is Friday, we will have our cold case of the week. And tonight's cold case, we'll not be looking at just one victim. We are going to be looking at multiple victims, some of which are definitely linked to, and some are possibly linked to one alleged serial offender. So we'll be taking a look at that. I'll be giving you all the information on the victims, the timeline. But first, as always, we have our featured missing person of the night. And this information comes from neverforgottenar.org, which is the Arkansas Missing Persons Database. And tonight's missing person is DeMarcus Gary Cooper. He's just 16 years old. He is a black male, 6'1", 200 pounds, with brown hair or brown eyes and black hair. He went missing September 7th of this year, so just about a week ago, just a little bit over a week ago, and he went missing from Jonesboro, Arkansas. So if you have any information about DeMarcus or his disappearance, please contact the Jonesboro Police Department at 870-935-5551. And as always, I will put a link to this information in the description box. And I encourage you, please share it anywhere and everywhere you can, because the more people that see it, the better. All right, with that most important information taken care of, we will get into our case for the night. And the alleged serial offender in question is Warren Leslie Forrest. And you can see here I have called him an American monster because, in my opinion, he is definitely a monster. He is a very bad man. His crimes range from 1971 to 1974. He's been convicted of some of the crimes of the killing of the victims, and he's possibly linked to at least 9. So we will get into that. Let me get full screen so I can see what I'm doing. And first, we're going to take a look at just a little background on Mr. Warren. He is an accused, alleged serial offender. He was convicted and sentenced to 2 life terms for the killings of a young woman and a teenage girl in Clark County, Washington in 1974. And I believe most of these crimes and alleged crimes took place in Washington. He is considered the prime suspect in at least 5 similar killings and disappearances dating back to 1971. He has been incarcerated on a single homicide count since 1974, and he was convicted on another count in 2023 after DNA linked him to the killing of Martha Morrison. But as of 2023, he is yet to be charged in any of the other crimes that he has been linked to. And I will be bringing you the information on all those crimes. So the first alleged possible victim of Mr. Forrest from December of 1971 is Jamie Rochelle Grissom. She was a 16-year-old student at Fort Vancouver High School. She went missing while walking home from school on December 7th. During the search for her, police did find a number of her personal belongings. They found her purse and an ID card in Dole Valley. Now, as per usual, when a teenager goes missing, it was initially believed that she ran away and left the state, but she has not been located since. No sign of her anywhere, no sightings, no remains found. So that is our first possible victim. We'll move to February and March of 1972. 18-year-old Barbara Ann Derry went missing on February 11th. She was last seen on a highway. She was trying to hitchhike from Vancouver to Goldendale, where she had moved to attend college. Her body was discovered on March 29th at the bottom of a silo inside the Cedar Creek gristmill. Now, that in itself would be a horrible, horrible death. But it was determined that she had died from a stab wound to the chest. So, going back to Jamie, the first victim that we talked about, in May of 1972, as I said, her purse and possessions were found. They were found in a wooded area alongside a road in the Doe Valley area of northern Clark County, which is northeast of Vancouver. And her purse, interestingly, which is a link, they say, to some of these other crimes, her purse was found about a mile away from the remains of 2 other young women that were found. So, like I said, they're trying to make possible links to all these victims, making a link to Mr. Forrest. So we'll fast forward to 1974. On May 29th, 14-year-old Diane Gilchrist went missing. She was a 9th grade student at the Shumway Junior High School. It was said she had never exhibited problematic behavior. Her parents claimed that she had left their home in downtown Vancouver through her bedroom window on the 2nd floor, and then she just vanished into the night. She's never been found, and it is unclear what happened to her. Now, on this one, it is possible, if she is not linked to Mr. Forrest, she could be a runaway. Just for the fact that she snuck out the bedroom window at night. Just a possibility. We'll just keep that in mind. So, 1974, May 31st, we have Gloria Nadine Knutson. She was 19. She went missing on May 31st. She was a 12th grader at the Hudson Bay High School. At the night of her disappearance, she had been invited to a housewarming party, but she declined to go, and instead she decided to visit a nightclub called the Red Caboose. She was seen by several acquaintances there. One witness told police that Gloria thought that somebody had one witness told police that Gloria had sought his help in the early morning hours, claiming that somebody had attempted to assault her and was now stalking her. And now, on the information, I don't know if I put it in when I was giving the background information to Mr. Forrest. He was convicted or suspected of one stalking. So I'm assuming this is probably the stalking incident that they were referring to. I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing. The man claimed that she had asked him to drive her home, but his car was out of gas. So she was distraught. So she decided to walk home, and she disappeared soon after that. Now, her remains were discovered by fishermen in a forested area near Lacomas Lake on May 9th of 1978. So, in some of these victims, we have remains that are found, and then some of them have never been found, unfortunately. So we will go to July 11th of 1974. Krista K. Blake goes missing from Vancouver. She was last seen getting into a blue van on 29th Street and K Street in Vancouver. Witnesses report seeing both near Louisville Park before her disappearance, but this was not a confirmed sighting. And I wasn't able to find any information about what kind of vehicle that Mr. Forrest might have been driving around that time, if he had a blue van or not. I will try to look into it and try to find. There wasn't a whole lot of information that I could find about Mr. Forrest, but so anyway, she was last seen getting into this blue van, so it is unknown whether it had anything to do with Mr. Forrest. So July, another one in July 17th, 1974. Um, a 15-year-old girl is abducted in Ridgefield, but she survives the attack. And as far as we know, this is the only survivor of possibly, allegedly, Mr. Forrest. Her name is Norma Countryman. She was abducted while hitchhiking in the Ridgefield area by Warren Forrest. She was held at knife point, driven to Toots Mountain, which is an area near Battleground. She was beaten, gagged. She was hogtied to a tree. She managed to chew through her bindings. That just blew my mind when that read that chew through her. I can't talk. Once again, I can't use my words. She chewed through her bindings. So this girl was determined to get away, rightfully so. So she got out of her bindings. She went into hiding until morning, and she escapes. In 1976, another woman's remains, which would turn out to be Krista Blake, will be found very near where Norma was tied up and assaulted. So, as we get further in along, and when we get to Krista Blake's case, we have that connection. Norma does not report the assault before the statute of limitations runs out. So unfortunately, the alleged offender could not be tried for it, but she later testified in Krista Blake's trial. So it was very admirable of her. So in August of 1974, we have Carol Platt Valenzuela. She went missing on August 4th of 1974. She was hitchhiking from Camas to Vancouver. She was a married mother of 2 infant children. She was not known to be involved in prostitution or any criminal history. On October 12th, her skeletal remains were discovered by a hunter in the Dole Valley. Dole Valley is going to come up a lot in these cases, which is outside of Vancouver, which was very close to the remains of another victim that we will get to. And due to this, authorities believe that Mr. Forrest likely took the lives of both of these victims. Right, in September of 1974, Martha Morrison disappears. She was 17 years old. At the time, she was living with her boyfriend, who she had met while in the Job Corps. Authorities have been unable to discover his name. So I'm assuming if they couldn't find his name, they weren't able to find him and interview him about her disappearance. So it could be a possibility that I'm not saying he did, but possibility that he might have had something to do with her disappearance. And once again, my cat is over here. What's he doing? At least he's being quiet tonight. The other night when I was doing the video, he was making a lot of racket. So I think he's getting ready to go to sleepy. But anyway, back to the case. Either that or he's just gonna sit over there and supervise me. So the boyfriend, apparently, I'm assuming they weren't able to find him and interview him. So possibility that he might either have some information about her disappearance or not. Or possibly have something to do with it or not. So it is reported that they did have an argument. He left the apartment to go to work, and she left shortly thereafter, and she was never seen again. So that's another little bit of a reason why this boyfriend could possibly have something to do with her disappearance if her disappearance can't be attributed to Mr. Forrest. Detectives say that he's not a suspect. Her disappearance was supposedly reported by a family member. In 2010, it is discovered that no report had been filed at all. So apparently, none of the family members, if I'm reading this correctly, filed a missing persons report. Don't know why they wouldn't file one. Family did provide DNA swabs in hopes that this would help identify her in the future, because they suspected that she was no longer alive. That's just got to be, as always, obviously so hard on the family, not knowing where where your loved one is, if they're alive, if they're not alive. And you just do anything you can, such as give DNA swabs in the hopes that if they do find remains, they could be matched up. Okay, so we're going to go back to Mr. Forrest. So in October of 1974, Warren Forrest was arrested on charges of kidnapping, assault, and attempted homicide. On the previous day, he had met a 20-year-old woman in Portland, Oregon. He lured her into his car under the pretense of doing a photo shoot. Instead, he drove to a city park and he assaulted this victim. Now, does not give the actual name of the victim. It just says Camus woman, and I'm assuming I think Camus was the name of maybe the area that this incident happened in. I'm not sure. I did so much research on this, compiling all this, that I can't keep everything straight as usual. Anyway, so he drove her to the city park. He assaulted her. He shot her with darts from an air-powered dart gun. He then drove her to Camus, Washington. So therefore, that's where the Camus woman alias came in. Where he stabbed her 6 times with a knife near Locamus Lake, and he attempted to strangle her. Now, the woman, of course, went unconscious after the attack, and as Forrest believed that she had passed away, he completely undressed her, threw her into some nearby bushes. However, thankfully, she woke up 2 hours later, and she managed to make her way to the city, where she was found by passersby. These Good Samaritans drove her to a nearby hospital. She was given emergency medical attention, and she survived. So, well, I said my cat was going to be quiet, but now he's back here messing with my green screen I got back here. Hopefully, he won't pull it completely down. All right, so now I think I said earlier we had one. Would you calm down back there, please? I'm so sorry. He always does this. He waits until I start doing the video until he decides to come in and wreak havoc. Anyway, I think I said earlier there was one known survivor, so this would be 2 known survivors of Mr. Forrest. So the next day, or within the next couple of days, Mr. Forrest was charged with the assault of this lady. He's charged with first-degree SA, assault, armed robbery, in connection to her vicious assault. He pleads not guilty by reason of insanity. Go figure. In my opinion, he's not insane. He's just a psychopath. The following January, he is acquitted, and I had to do some more research to find out why he was acquitted. And he was apparently he was acquitted. I guess they found him not guilty by reason of insanity, and because he was committed to the Western State Hospital in Lakewood, Washington. So apparently the jury found had enough reason to believe that maybe he was insane. All right, so on October 12th of 1974, hunters find bones of two young women. They were found at the south end of Dole Valley. Once again, we have Dole Valley coming up, so we have a specific area where these remains are being found and these crimes are being committed. These were two female victims found by hunters on a Dole Valley Road area. They were within a mile or so of where Jamie, the first victim, belongings were found on Dole Valley Road. The first of these two victims remains to be identified were Carol Valenzuela. And for years, Jamie's sister Star wondered if the second set of remains might have been Jamie. But by the time she had pushed for DNA testing to be done, the bones were lost. Somehow, authorities or somebody lost the bones. Don't ask me how that happens. It makes absolutely no sense to me and infuriates me, but it happened, and there's nothing that can be done about it, unfortunately. So fast forward to July 11th, 1976. The remains of Krista Blake are discovered in a shallow grave. And this was at Toots Mountain Park. Two men find a woman's remains just 100 or so feet from where Norma Countryman, which was a victim we talked about earlier, she was one of the survivors. They were found 100 about 100 feet away from where Norma Countryman was taken on Toots Mountain. The woman is identified 3 days later as Krista Blake, who went missing exactly 2 years prior and only 6 days prior to Norma's assault. So if this is the same offender that is committing these crimes, he is very he's escalating. So he sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. There's a shorter and shorter amount of time between these attacks and alleged attacks and alleged killings. So he's just, like I said, he is a very, very bad man. All right. So on May 9th, 1978, Gloria Knutsen's remains are found. They are found by a fisherman near Locamus Lake, which is another, and you can see by these the little GPS symbols here, whatever they're called, all in the same area. So we've had Locamus Lake mentioned a lot of times in these cases, and Dole Valley. So apparently, whoever the offender is, this is his hunting area, his comfort area of where he hunts his victims. Then Sheriff Gene Cotton states that he thought that it may have been her when they found the remains, and that he is investigating a possible link to 3 other killings during the summer of 1974. So, like I said, 3 in a year or more. This whether it be Mr. Forrest or another offender, is very busy. Like I said, he's almost like in a frenzy. It's very, very scary. Okay, so on October 20th, 1978, an arrest is made for Krista Blake's killing. And guess who is arrested? Mr. Warren Forrest. He is arrested and charged with Krista's killing. Her killing had remained unsolved for over 2 years. He is transferred from Western State Hospital, where he had been put after he apparently had been found not guilty by reason of insanity in the previous trial. He's transferred from Western State Hospital in Steilacoom in September, where he was still being held for the Comus woman's brutal attack, which occurred in 1974. In April 26th of 1979, he is convicted of Krista Blake's killing. So there's first one that he is convicted of. So after originally making a plea of insanity again, Forrest pleads innocent. Norma Jean Gates, Countryman, and Comus woman, they both testify against him. Comus woman, it says, gives a full, shocking testimony about her violent attack, being left tied only a little over 160 feet from where Krista's body was found. So, like I said, they're all in this little area here. The jury is taken on a field trip or whatever they call it to the burial site on Toots Mountain. And in the end, Forrest admitted to the killing on the stand, and he was convicted and given a life sentence. Hallelujah. So that's one, the first one he's convicted of. So February, fast forward, oh no, we're going to go to February of 1980. Remains are found near Fly Creek, which is in Yacolt, I hope I'm pronouncing these right, Washington. These remains are found by some panhandlers. Human bones were found 200 to 300 feet within Fly Creek. This is the same vicinity of the remains that are found in Doe Creek. Once again, Doe Creek. Area of Yacolt in October of 1974. Theories arise that Warren Forrest could be responsible, though no evidence is available to give authorities any tangible suspects. They were looking into if it was possible the remains belonged to Jamie, which is the first victim we talked about. Her belongings, as I said earlier, were found on Doe Road, and at the time the bones were discovered, she was the only missing person in that area. Get a drink. Hello. At least my cat decided to settle down. He's looking at me like I'm crazy, though, because I'm talking to myself. He does that all the time, though, so it's all right. Okay, so fast forward to February of 2006. DNA rules out that Fly Creek, they called her Fly Creek Jane Doe. The remains they're not Jamie. Improved DNA testing was able to rule out Jamie as the Fly Creek Jane Doe. Testing could not provide the actual identity of the young woman yet. Later it would. And I believe I did include that information in the slides. In March 2009, a death certificate is issued for Jamie. She remains missing. Foul play, of course, is suspected. And she is now believed to be the first victim of Warren Forrest. So, apparently, authorities have gathered enough information gathered some information, but not enough information to be able to actually charge him with the death of Jamie. But they just state that they do believe that she was his first victim. Now, in October of 2009, a search is conducted by the Clark County Sheriff. The search takes place on Doe Valley Road, which is the area where Jamie's ID was found, but apparently, no, her remains weren't found. They didn't find any more of her personal belongings or any other evidence, unfortunately. So back to Mr. Warren, or Mr. Forrest. In February of 2014, authorities announced that the investigation into Mr. Forrest now includes 9 victims. So we're up to 9 victims. Some definite, some possible. Detectives shared with families of 9 victims, including Jamie, that their loved ones are formally now a part of the investigation into Warren Forrest. This now includes Jamie, Barbara Ann, Diane, Gloria, Krista, who is already convicted of, Norma, Carol, and Camus Woman, who he already was tried and pled insanity claim, and Martha. Make sure I haven't skipped any slides. I thought I had some different information in here. Maybe not. Okay. So in April of 2014, Mr. Forrest is denied parole. Thank goodness. At his parole hearing, he openly discusses his victim hunting frequencies. He admitted violent behavior, assault, stabbing, choking. I don't know why this pops up here where I can't see. Anyway, he did not reveal any of the didn't give any information, basically. And the board's decision states he disclosed having numerous unadjudicated victims who might be living or deceased, and that they may span over 4 states. I couldn't find the states that he supposedly said he had victims in, aside from Washington. Norma Countryman and Star both attend, which Star is Jamie's sister, I believe. Both attended his parole hearing, and I'm sure they pled their case for him not to be released. Okay, so on July 17th of 2015, Martha Morrison is identified. After a culmination of Martha's family revitalizing a search for her, also Jamie's sister pushing for DNA comparison with Jamie, and discovery that the second set of bones from Doe Road are missing. So apparently we got missing bones. And also the efforts of Nikki Costa, who is the Clark County Medical Examiner, is with the Clark County Medical Examiner's Office. It was realized that there were many mishaps in the search for Martha, and the efforts to identify the remains from Doe Road. The remains have been mislabeled. So we've got lost bones. We've got mislabeled bones. These remains have been mislabeled at some point, and changes occurred in the investigative teams, because we know with these long cold cases, investigators come, investigators go, new ones come in, things get misplaced, we'll say. So when Nikki Costa came in, she found a skull that was labeled with Carol Valenzuela's name. The other woman who was found with the unknown remains. Jamie was then ruled out, as the victim, or none of these remains were Jamie, which was, of course, difficult for her sister Star. However, they could now proceed to exhume Martha's father, so they could extract DNA to get the most reliable sample for comparison to finally be able to identify Martha. So, despite all these, what they call mishaps, the missing bones, the mislabeling, at least Martha was identified. She was able to be brought home to her family, give them some closure, maybe some sense of peace, and they were able to lay her to rest. So that if there's a silver lining in any of this, this is one of them. So, another good thing, on February 7, 2020, Warren Forrest is arraigned for the killing of Martha Morrison. So now this is either 2 or 3 that he's being charged with. So after continued investigation into Warren Forrest, blood evidence makes it possible to put him on trial for Martha's killing. Of course, he pleads not guilty. He's booked into the Clark County Jail until his trial, which is scheduled for April of 2020. Jamie's sister and detectives are hopeful that the new evidence and ongoing investigation will lead to other charges, such as Jamie's. And as a footnote, it says Forrest's trial was postponed twice and it was set for October of 2022. So hopefully they can connect him to some of these other possible alleged victims. Hopefully find the remains of the victims that have yet to be found. Once again, try to bring some closure and a little sense of peace for the families. So in May 18th of 2022, he is once again up for parole, and he is denied while awaiting trial. At his parole hearing, he now comments that he's been instructed not to comment on any unadjudicated crimes, which I'm just going to hazard a guess to say unadjudicated crimes are some of these victims that they're possibly trying to link him to. So his lawyer said, keep your mouth shut, don't say anything about it, which one of them is including Jamie. Once again, on behalf of her sister Jamie, Starr urges the parole board to never let Warren Forrest free. Absolutely. He should never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever be able to walk the streets again among people. In my opinion, I don't consider him a person. He is a monster. Starr says, there is not a day that goes by that I do not think of her, and it's been a half century, 50 years. But I think about her every day. She was special, and I know she would have done that much for me too. Absolutely. Any family member, unless you just have a completely dysfunctional family. If you have a family member that you lose to violent crime, you're going to do everything in your power to find that person, to get justice for your loved one, and things of that nature. So where does Mr. Warren or Mr. Forrest and these cases stand as of 2023? So since his initial convictions, Mr. Forrest has remained a suspect in multiple kidnappings, disappearances, and killings committed in Clark County during the early 1970s. He has refused, surprise, surprise, to cooperate with investigators. In 2017, at another parole hearing, he did confess to killing Krista Blake and to the initial kidnapping of her. He stated supposedly that Krista had been deeply depressed at the time of her killing, as well as severely stressed and suffering from the effects of a mental illness. This is all, we don't know if this is true. We all know serial offenders are notorious liars. So I'm going to hazard a guess. I don't know for sure that he was not telling the truth. And he does go on to say that he claims that he did not intend to kill her at first, but eventually did so because she attempted to escape. Well, shame on her for trying to escape. He also candidly confessed to a total of 16 crimes involving women between 1971 and 1974. The crimes he confessed to ranged from voyeurism to homicide. In spite of this, he claimed that he had killed nobody else besides Krista, and that he was remorseful for his actions. Well, of course he was. Once again, never ever trust anything that a serial offender psychopath says. That's just my opinion and the opinion of others. Despite his admissions, his application was denied. Yes. And he was prohibited from filing further appeals until March of 2022. So I don't know if obviously it's 2023 now. I'll have to look and see if he has tried to file any more petitions for parole since then. The parole board stated that he continued to pose a danger to society, and that he has made minimal progress in I don't know what that word is, in his behavior. So apparently he has not changed at all. He hasn't changed. He is still the same psychopath, alleged psychopath that he was when he allegedly committed these crimes. And I highly doubt he is a candidate for rehabilitation. That's just my opinion. All right, so here's a picture of all the nine in total, either definite victims or, excuse me, or assumed victims, possible victims. I'm sorry, I have to get a drink. Okay, so sorry. So hopefully, Mr. Forrest will be spending the rest of his life in jail. He will not be able to get out and hurt anybody else. Hopefully these other cases and victims that have not been found, hopefully we'll pray that that their remains will be found, and that their family can hopefully get some peace, some closure, some justice. So we will just keep them in our thoughts and prayers as always. All right, so that was our case for the night. I hope you found it interesting, informative. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments about what you think about any of these cases. If you think he is or isn't involved in any of these cases that he wasn't convicted of. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. If you like what I do here at Southern Gal True Crime, please do consider subscribing before you leave. Hush up. Please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell all so you won't miss any new videos that I upload. I try to upload videos definitely on Mondays and Fridays, sometimes on Wednesdays. So until then, please do take care of yourself. Be very careful out there. Take care of each other. That's the most important thing. That would you hush? It's the most important thing we can do is take care of each other so we can all make it through this life. and my cat is fixing to bite me. So until next time, take care of yourselves, and I will see you later.